Good Tuesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls, and it has been such a busy couple of days around here. Of course, we've had flooding rainfall around the Chicagoland area. Some suburbs actually picking up as much as 7 to 10 inches of rain over the past 3 days, most of which fell yesterday or Saturday and Saturday night. So we had a lot taking place here over the weekend and early this week. And then also I'm going to be tracking Hurricane Erin during this show. So we have now Category 2 Hurricane Erin that is still going to be brushing or very close to brushing the East Coast, and that's going to be bringing in impacts. We have tropical storm warnings that have been posted for portions of North Carolina. We have watches that have been posted for portions of Virginia. So there's a lot to look at for the East Coast over the next couple of days. And then looking ahead, so going into next week, it almost looks like Chicago is in for a very fall-like feel. So a little bit of a change in the weather pattern coming our way next week. Temperature is going to be much cooler. So those are the topics that we're going to be covering here in the next 15 minutes. First and foremost, let's talk about all the flooding. So this particular map that you're looking at, this is our 3-day rainfall estimates coming in from the radar. So pretty much anything that you see here that's showing up in yellows, oranges, or even reds, that's representing 2 to 6 inches of rainfall, which, by the way, is very significant to pick up in a matter of 3 days, let alone for some of these locations only a single day. But once you see that purple shading showing up, and there's a couple spots here that I'm going to zoom in on. Notice in far southwestern DeKalb County, northwestern LaSalle County, over 7 inches of rainfall over the last 3 days. In Aurora, just shy of 7 inches, 6.2 in Tinley Park area. And then in Whiting, Indiana, we actually picked up between 9 and 10 inches of rain over the last 3 days, most of which actually fell during the day yesterday with those training thunderstorms that were coming through. Take a look at this video that we have coming in out of Whiting, Indiana. Very incredible visuals of just how much flooding that we're seeing. So there were actually, when it comes to the schools opening, there were some delays because a lot of the roads are impassable, and this video was taken this morning in Whiting. So of course we've seen some improvements throughout the day, but nonetheless, this water is really trying to find somewhere to go at this point. So it's going to low-lying areas, underpasses, things like that. We're going to start to notice our streams, our creeks, our rivers rising in the coming days as this water continues to work its way to our local waterways. So we're not quite done with that flood threat. We still have flood warnings that are remaining in effect for several rivers around the Chicagoland area. And unfortunately, in Whiting, we had so much rain so quickly yesterday. That's why we had all of this flooding that was still residual this morning, even through the midday hours. So fortunately, in the next couple of days, we're going to begin to dry out. So the pattern change that we've been hoping for, it is already beginning to take shape. We have those northerly winds that are coming in, and that's bringing in a cooler, less humid air mass. And we're also going to be dealing with quite a lack of rainfall, I would say, throughout the rest of this week and even into this upcoming weekend. Let's take a look now at this particular map. So I'm going to break this down for you on what this means. So this map is showing us the percentage of normal rainfall that we've seen here in the Chicagoland area over the past 30 days. Anything that you see here highlighted in green is representing amounts that are at least 100% of what's considered to be normal, if not higher than that. And then the purple shading is representing 200% or higher. And there is a huge, huge portion of our area that's highlighted in purple, stretching from Chicago back into southeastern DuPage County, then rounding down toward Joliet into Kankakee County, and then a good chunk of northwest Indiana is over 200% of the normal rainfall. And again, this is just over the last 30 days. And a lot of people are thinking, okay, this is a really good thing because we've been dealing with drought-like conditions. But the problem with this is when you get so much rain all at once, like with the last couple events that we've been dealing with here, that all turns into runoff. It doesn't necessarily soak into the ground like what we need. So if you look at the drought monitor, we get this new data that comes out every Thursday morning. So I'm interested to see what types of changes that we're going to see coming out Thursday morning, because with all of the rain that we picked up on Monday, of course, I do think it's going to make a difference. But just because some portions of the area, mainly near Whiting, Indiana, notice how southeastern Cook County, eastern Will County, portions of Lake County, Indiana, are still highlighted here in a moderate drought. With all of the rain that we picked up so quickly, that ends up turning into runoff, not necessarily soaking into the ground. So I'll be really interested to see if this does indeed make a difference on the drought monitor when that new data comes out on Thursday morning. Now let's talk about the tropics. So earlier today, Terrence Lee and Sylvia Perez ended up speaking with Caroline Elliott of Fox, and she was down in North Carolina tracking Hurricane Erin. Let's listen in.
Look at this time-lapse video of Hurricane Erin. Shows lightning popping up around the storm's eye. Wow, as it moved past the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Erin was a massive Category 4 storm with winds blowing at 130 miles per hour. Now,
Wow.
It's not headed straight for the U.S., but coastal North Carolina is on high alert for sure because storm surge watches are up.
Yeah, Caroline Elliott joins us live in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, where officials announced a new warning today, and Caroline is here to explain what's happening out there.
Hi, Darren, Sylvia. The entire Outer Banks right now are under a tropical storm warning, and even like you said, Hurricane Erin is still about 600 miles offshore from where we're standing right now. We're still seeing those impacts already on the beach behind us. If you take a walk over here, look at the waves right here. Okay, on a normal day, the waves would be about 1 to 4 feet, but we're told that again, these waves could reach up to 15 feet high by Thursday afternoon. And if you can see those two people out in the water right now, just to be clear, they're not supposed to be out here. We've seen lifeguards patrolling the beach all day, pulling people out of the water, even if they're just, shin deep, getting their toes wet. They're saying because of conditions right now, because of those concerns that there could be rip currents, they're not allowing anyone in the water, and that is evident by the double flag warnings that we're also seeing here along the beach. We of course know that officials are doing this right now just to keep people here on the beach safe. And to be clear, guys, Hurricane Erin won't make landfall in the U.S., but will come close enough to create dangerous conditions in the ocean and flooding concerns across the coastal region. Officials in North Carolina announced evacuation orders just south of us, impacting several islands along the Outer Banks. We're told so far more than 1,000 people have evacuated, some who were simply visiting for a vacation.
It was tough because we watched the weather and it said, 40% chance of rain, and the weather didn't look too bad, so we didn't know what the fuss was about. But talking to some locals and people, they said you do not want to be here when they close that bridge down on Hatteras Island. There's nobody can help you, no way in or out. So, we have 4 kids with us on vacation, 5, so we thought just better be safe than sorry.
And as far as timing goes, we're told that conditions will be even worse on Wednesday and will peak by Thursday afternoon as far as wind gusts go, and then also flooding concerns. We also do want to mention one more concern here is we are expecting a new moon on a Saturday, which generally during that time tides are already higher than they normally would be. So you mix in that new moon with also an offshore hurricane, and we're certainly expecting to see some flooding and some problems here.
All right, thank you, Caroline Elliott, for that. And so let's go ahead and we'll put a track on Hurricane Erin now. So as it stands, currently this is about 585 miles southwest of Bermuda, and it has 105 mile per hour sustained wind. So this is actually drastically, I almost don't want to say the word weakened, but it has drastically weakened when it comes to the maximum wind speeds over the last day or so, because this actually was a Category 5 storm very briefly over the weekend before it started, those winds started dying down just a bit. But regardless, this is still a pretty big hurricane that's moving through. And as the wind speeds calm down, the wind field itself actually expanded, which is not a very good thing, because as that wind field expands, that means that the East Coast could be feeling some larger impacts. So take a look at this here. This is the Saffir-Simpson scale, and this hurricane has 105 mile per hour winds. So that's putting it as a Category 2. Here's where it's headed. It's going to likely maintain that strength as it follows the East Coast and then goes back out to sea. But regardless, it's going to be close enough to the East Coast that we're feeling those impacts. So places like North Carolina already have tropical storm warnings remaining in effect now all the way until the 25th at 7 p.m. And then in Virginia, this is a tropical storm watch that will likely be upgraded to a warning here as we get a little bit closer to that storm passing on by. And then even going up into New Jersey, and it looks like portions of Delaware here, we do have a coastal flood watch that's going to remain in effect, because even though that's not moving on shore, we're still going to have the storm surge and the winds associated with that storm. Taking us back here locally, we have a cool down and a fall-like feel that's going to be here next week. I'll have all those details coming your way in about 2 minutes. We'll see you then. Welcome back. Locally here at home today, temperatures dropped during the afternoon into the 70s for most areas because we developed a northerly wind to a northeasterly wind. And that, of course, is kicking up some high waves on Lake Michigan. So all Lake Michigan beaches throughout the Chicagoland area, this includes all of northeastern Illinois, northwest Indiana, have a beach hazard statement that's going to remain in effect all the way until Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So we have a couple days of high waves and rip current risks that are going to exist. And the waves are actually going to be as high as about 3 to 6 feet at times. So again, when waves are high, we encourage you to stay dry. Don't forget that saying. All right, 5-day forecast for you as far as temperatures are concerned. Upper 70s tomorrow and Thursday. It's going to feel really nice too. So the humidity is going to drop off in a pretty big way tonight and then going into early tomorrow. So tomorrow's 78 degrees is going to feel like 78 degrees. We do see a brief warm up back to normal Friday and Saturday, putting us in the lower 80s. But then early next week, notice how temperatures drop back off again, down to about 75 degrees on Sunday. And then take a look at this map. So this is something that we haven't seen in a while. This is your temperature outlook from August 25th through the 29th, which happens to be Monday through Friday of next week. And what this map is telling us is that we are strongly favored to see below average conditions. So most of next week looks like we have temperatures in the low to mid 70s, which again is well below average. Average high for this time of the year is typically right around 82 degrees. So for tonight, 68, the humidity, it's still around this evening and it's going to linger through tonight, but we will feel those big improvements tomorrow. 78 degrees on Wednesday. We wake up to some cloud cover, but then end up seeing plenty of sunshine during the afternoon. And that sets us up beautifully for Thursday. Sunny skies, 79 degrees. We are back up to the 80s by Friday. I'll have a full look of your forecast, your 7-day forecast, coming up on the news at 9 p.m. We'll see you then.